All right, welcome back in, guys. This is the Bleacher Report Rams postgame. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Reacting after that one, it was a doozy. I can't even believe what we just watched. I truly can't believe it. I don't think there was not a scenario that I thought was out there that this could even be the case. I think the only scenario was if Stafford went down and Stetson Bennett started the whole game. This was absolutely insane to me. Looking at this game, I'm just really not sure what to think of it. I will say I still have faith in the Rams. I do. I do believe in them. Today was really tough, though. There really aren't many positives. I mean, let's talk about it. The defense was putrid. I mean, let's look at the Cardinals. Let's look at what they did. Kyler Murray was fantastic. You got to give a lot of credit to the Arizona Cardinals. They dominated. Kyler Murray, James Conner just ran all over the Rams. I mean, Kyler Murray ran all over the Rams, and even if he didn't get those yards, he turned them into air yards. Dave Mercado, running 41 yards at the end of the game like that, just kind of encapsulates what today was, as far as the fumble being recovered in the end zone. There you go. It's just that's how today was. Nothing was really going to go the Rams. They did not play very well at all. Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, you got to be able to, you have to be able to cover Marvin Harrison Jr. He was covered last week. Inexcusable. Multiple times was Tre'Davious White burned. McBride broke plenty of tackles. They left Wilson wide open on a third down. Higgins' touchdown was just indefensible. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. You have Dennis Gardeck coming away with 3 sacks in this game, and it's like I'll be honest. I mean, the reality is Dennis Gardeck is just kind of, he's a guy. He's just a guy, and so to see 3 sacks from him, I mean, it was really tough. I understand you have a young left tackle there in Warren McClendon Jr., but this was just bad. Very, very bad performance all around for the Rams. Defense was just so disappointing. I think really what it comes down to, folks, is after last week, you take loss, your understanding of the loss because of the progress that they showed and the heart and resilience. And then you see that, and that's how it's just not acceptable. So, today was really tough. I mean, it was really tough for any Rams fan, for anybody who was rooting for the Rams. Not a good day at all. Plenty of missed tackles. It was just not very good. You get pressure on Kyler Murray. You have to be able to finish. He's always going to make you pay if you let him get out and do his thing. Just really just not excusable. The officiating was bad. I understand people are going to complain about that, but the Rams lost by 31 to a team that a lot of people thought they were way better than. People looked at this, this spread of this game. Okay, they looked at the spread of this game and they saw the Rams were underdogs and they couldn't believe it. Well, I can't even believe after that the Rams were even close to being favorites, because they just did not. That was horrible. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, you had a sack from Kobe Turner. It's just, I can't. I'm just fed up with play like that. I mean, we saw that for years, obviously. This is starting to feel like 2022, and, maybe that first game was full gold, I guess, but just really inexcusable. That's what it really comes down to. So Blake Corum was able to finally get some carries towards the end of the game. The injury to Cooper Kupp. There's just a lot not going well for the Rams. And, I mean, to be honest with you, I can look at it from the negative side, and obviously a lot of this is going to be negative. They lost 41-10. This is unacceptable. The positives are this. Well, today, the 49ers lost. Okay? Seahawks won somehow. They've won 2 games they probably didn't deserve to win, but that's the NFL. Survive in advance. So the 49ers lost today. They play the 49ers next week. Okay? It's first thing to feel good about. The second thing to feel good about is that you're getting guys like Jordan Whittington some opportunities. Blake Corum got some opportunities. These young guys are being able to play meaningful football early on in the season, although I don't know how meaningful the fourth quarter was. But either way, that's another thing. The problem is there's not much good after that. Now, you could make the argument Alec Jackson, he'll be back next week. Akella Witherspoon might be back next week, maybe a week from then. They need him now. I hope everyone understands why I was pushing for Akella Witherspoon as hard as I was. They need him right this second. I mean, that was bad. So getting Witherspoon back will help. Getting Alec Jackson back at left tackle will help. But aside from that, we don't know the story on Cooper Kupp. We don't know if he was ruled out, precautionary. We have no idea. What I will say is the biggest issue with this game is potentially losing Cooper Kupp to an ankle injury, which he's been bothered by ankle injuries in the past. So that's where we stand right now. Atwell got going a little bit, Demarcus Robinson, but this is not good. So I have hope because I think they have talent on this team. But if we're being honest here, today was pathetic. Pathetic showing. I thought Stafford was pretty solid, all things considered. I mean, he had a guy constantly breathing down his neck, literally. And it's just like, you don't normally see games like this, especially against a rivalry game. It was very interesting for a team that they have beaten 13 of the last 15 times, for a team that, essentially they've owned them in their house. They have not lost to the Cardinals in Arizona since 2014. They looked lost. The Rams look absolutely lost. And hindsight's 2020. Of course, you can say what happens if they don't go for it on fourth down and whatever. But it's not great right now in Ramland. And the only thing that can really turn this thing around is a win next week against the 49ers. It's a week-by-week league. The Rams were humbled tonight. If they ever thought for a second this was going to be an easy game, like I started to towards the end of the year, end of the week, well, there you go. Just not a great showing at all. I understand they're hurt. I get it. Injuries are bad. But the side of the ball they're not hurt is on the defense, and the defense played really bad today. The front, I will give the front credit. The defensive front kept putting pressure. You have to get somebody to finish. You have to finish the sack. But, I did appreciate what I saw out of that. But my big concern about the Rams is that the offense wasn't the issue, okay? They didn't play well either. I'm not jumping for joy about not being able to run the football back-to-back games. But when you look at the defense, last week, they looked really good against what we thought was a really good offense. Well, now, the Lions should probably be 0-2. If we're being honest, they were outplayed by Tampa. They were outplayed by the Rams. They could be 0-2 right now. And it makes you wonder, how good is that offense? Jared Goff doesn't look good at all. Why do I bring that up? Well, because maybe the defense looked good against a mediocre offense. And this offense is much better. And by the way, this offense is much better right now, at least. If I could have Jared Goff or Kyler Murray, are you kidding me? I would take Kyler Murray in 2 seconds right now. Kyler Murray played great football in the first half against the Bills. And then the second half, everything went to hell in a handbasket. This week, they were not going to do that. They got off to a great start, and they did not let up. You got to give the Cardinals a lot of credit for that. What does this mean for the rest of the year? Well, we're about to find out. The Rams played the Cardinals, I believe it was week 4. They were both 3-0 going into the game. In the Super Bowl season, the Rams lost 37-20. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. That's the good news. And yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening. What it really comes down to is this. With the Cardinals, I'm just being honest here. They look like a solid football team. I don't think this was the Rams being bad as much as it was the Cardinals putting on a clinic. I mean, Sean McVay was out-coached tenfold. You got to give Jonathan Gannon a lot of credit. A lot of credit. You got to give Kyler Murray a lot of credit. You got to give James Conner a lot of credit. Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot of credit. Dennis Gardeck, a lot of credit. He might just be a guy, but that guy had 3 sacks today. So that was a big thing. But obviously we haven't seen the tape yet and all of that. And who knows if we will get a chance to see that. We probably will. Time of possession was killer. I mean, the Rams gave up a 97-yard drive. That never helps. The total yards, just laughable. Passing yards, rushing yards. 231 yards on the ground. Good luck. First downs. This is another thing. Third down conversion. The Cardinals, they have 24 first downs. Rams had 14. So not only were the Rams offense, they weren't converting those third down opportunities. The Cardinals were. You got Kyler Murray running around. If you don't sack him, you know it's going to be a big play. Penalties, Ramsley had called on him. Arizona had 5 sacks. I mean, they only 10 more plays than the Rams, and it felt just not even close. So that's really where we are right now. That's where we're at. I mean, you figure it out. Because essentially right now the Rams have a lot of questions and no answers. No answers. We have no idea what to make of this game. What do you make of this game? They were bad across the board. 41-10. I don't even know what you would say to that. I mean, third down here, the Rams were 2 for 11. The Cardinals were 7 of 11. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Rams also went for on fourth down 3 times, only made 1 of them. Cardinals yards per pass was 11.7 to the Rams 6. Just awful. 5 sacks on Stafford. I mean, and now, I mean, it's just crazy. It truthfully is crazy that today happened the way it did. I just don't think you could have predicted this in a million years, if I'm being honest with you. I don't see how you would have predicted this in a million years. Because at the end of the day, going into this game, yes, the Cardinals, they looked really good against the Bills in the first half. The second half, they faltered and they lost. But the Cardinals have almost notoriously not played well at home. And the Rams have had their number. Sean McVay has had their number. This isn't Sean McVay's first time seeing Jonathan Gannon's Cardinals. It's wild, man. It's absolutely wild. And part of me is happy for Kyler Murray because he's been through a lot. He gets a lot of flack. He was perfect today. Absolutely perfect. Kyler Murray was as good at quarterback as anybody in the league this week. Fantastic. After giving praise to the linebacker group and Troy Reeder and Christian Roseboom, they didn't look good. They did not look good. Really, anyone outside of the defensive line struggled. I thought the defensive line got plenty of pressure. You have to be able to finish. It's that simple. But your leading receiver can't be a guy who had 50 yards. And we're probably not going to find out about the Cup injury for a little bit because he's got to get imaging and all that, but not good. No Puka Nacua, no Cooper Kupp, no Steve Avila, no Joe Noteboom. It's not looking good right now. Is it 2022 all over again? Well, it's up for the Rams to answer that bell. Because right now, there are a lot of fans that would say, this is deja vu. I've seen this movie before. This is 2022 all over again. I wouldn't say you're wrong. I wouldn't say you're right either because, the story hasn't been written. It's only 2 games. And it is important to remember it is only 2 games. Currently, the Bengals are up on Kansas City. Okay? The Bengals are up 25-23 on Kansas City. The Bengals just lost to New England last week, who the Seattle Seahawks just beat in overtime. Are the Bengals good? Is Kansas City good? Who knows, right? The Bills beat the Dolphins 31-10. They barely beat the Cardinals, but the Cardinals just blew out the Rams. The Raiders beat the Ravens on the road. The Raiders, who just lost to the Chargers last week. Cleveland, who got boat raced by Dallas, just beat Jacksonville on the road. Right? The Jets, who got boat raced by the 49ers, just beat the Titans on the road. The Minnesota Vikings beat the 49ers, who looked like one of the best teams in the league after Monday Night Football. The Chargers, well, that's the only thing that makes sense. The Chargers they blew out the Carolina Panthers. Seattle barely beat New England. New Orleans dropped 44 on the road against the Dallas Cowboys, who everyone wanted to call a Super Bowl contender after 1 week. Washington barely beat the Giants. Giants, everyone thought was the worst team in the league last week. They barely held on against Washington. Barely lost. Tampa, they went into Ford Field, a place that's not easy to win, and they beat Detroit. The Packers, who everyone threw into the garbage right after Jordan Love got hurt, they beat Indy, who was just neck and neck with the Houston Texans, who are, a lot of people would say, are a sleeper to get to the Super Bowl this year. The Packers don't have Jordan Love. They have Malik Willis. They won that game. So what am I getting at? We know nothing. We know nothing at all. Zero. We absolutely know nothing about this league. Everything you think you know, this is what happens with the NFL. It's absolutely crazy. The difference between winning and losing in a lot of cases comes down to 3 plays. That's the reality of it. So when you go back and you look at the Rams in 2022, guess what? They lose that game 31-10 to Buffalo to start the season, have a bevy of injuries, show up. They beat Atlanta 31-27. They dominated Atlanta, and then Atlanta makes a crazy comeback and almost wins the game. They hold on. Then they go to Arizona. They beat Arizona. Then they lose to San Francisco. They lose to Dallas. They beat Carolina. They go into the bye at 3-3. And then they don't win a game until week 14. So this is what the Rams are going to have to figure out. Get your losing streak out of the way now, because all this means is you can't have this later on in the season. There's no room. There's no cushion. If you're going to do this now, get it out now. Arizona's 41, and this is important, guys, because this isn't baseball. See, when people act like, oh yeah, today's runs don't affect tomorrow's game, that's not necessarily true in baseball. Because if you score a lot of runs, you do a lot of damage, multiple pitchers pitch, you weaken the bullpen for the next game. Right? Well, with the NFL, Arizona scoring 41, that's only for that game. They get a whole week. It's not like the Rams are going to be feeling the effects of that tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. The sport doesn't work that way. So that's the only way you can really look at it. I mean, you got 15 games left. Go out there and win them. It's that simple. The Rams now have put themselves in a position where they have to win. They might even lose next week. They still have to win. 0-2, not a great start. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Does not mean they're not going to make the playoffs. 2023, they start off. They dominate Seattle. They lose they have an inspiring loss, very similar to the Lions. They lose to the San Francisco 49ers week 2. Week 3, they go to Cincinnati. They don't even look like the same team we saw the first 2 weeks. They forget how to play football against Cincinnati in prime time. Then they beat Indy in OT. They get outplayed by Philadelphia. They destroy Arizona. They lose to Pittsburgh. They lose to Dallas. They lose to Green Bay. They get a bye week. And they rip off 7 of their last 8. So just because things didn't go your way the first 2 weeks of the season does not mean the season's over. But it's not ideal. Ideally, a team wanting and vying for a Super Bowl, ideally a team like that wouldn't want to start 0-2. But that's the reality. Tomorrow, we'll wake up. The Rams are 0-2. On to the San Francisco 49er game. The Niners lost too. We'll see what ends up happening. But that's going to do it for me. So appreciate you guys. You guys can follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and of course, this app, the BR app, JKBogan. You can follow and you'll never miss another live stream on BR. But in addition to that, I'm also on YouTube. So you can check out my post-game stuff there as well. And I'll see you guys I'll see you guys next week after hopefully a Rams win and they start to right the ship next week against the 49ers. Take care, folks. Later.